the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. If you are new here, welcome. Remember that you can always subscribe on Apple Podcast and leave a review there, or otherwise you can tune in to wherever you listen to your podcast, be it Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podchaser. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back and tuning in. Let's get into today's episode. My guest is Mongezi Majebe from South Africa. In this episode, Mongezi tells us about his academic journey. He tells us that in high school, he always loved chemistry and was a motivation for him to pursue a degree in the subject. Mongezi opens up about his journey, which was not necessarily straight, with speed bumps along the way. In the process, he gained valuable life lessons. He's currently a final year student studying chemistry and chemical technology at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. He breaks down exactly what this degree entails, as well as his future aspirations. Lastly, we learn that Mongezi is a self-proclaimed men's activist, and he explains why supporting and motivating his fellow men is such an important part of who he is. Tune in as we hear about this and so much more. Hi Mongezi, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me in this show.
You are so welcome. I'm glad to have you. So before we get things started, I think it's important for you to just give us a brief introduction. Who is Mongezi? Where are you currently based? And just in brief, what are you currently doing?
Name is Mongezi. Surname is Majebe. I'm from Gauteng, South Wild Triangle. I'm currently doing my final year in BSc Chemistry and Chemical Technology at UKZN PMB campus. I'm a house DJ, producer, / men's rights activist, / cologne collector, / a lot of things that I cannot even mention. Just a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay, wow, you're a man of many talents. I like that. So I'm glad you brought up this whole thing of you being a DJ, which is pretty cool. So tell me more about it. Like, what type of music are you into, and how did you get involved in that while being a scientist? How does that even work?
Firstly, before I got into DJing and stuff, right, there were people who were actually DJs, like around my area, even in the entertainment industry. Like, it was back like years ago, I had people that I actually looked up to, the likes of DJ Fresh, the likes of Skido, the likes of the late Kapzela, the likes of DJ Christos, even like international acts like Louis Vega, Ocean Lade, etc. So if you see a DJ, right, you see like, okay, this person's playing music and the effect the music has on the crowd or the people, it's magical, and how they actually spin the whole thing, mixing, juggling and stuff, It's like transitioning from one song to another. That was magical for me, you know what I mean? So, and the effect it had on the crowd. So I'm like, okay, I want to be in that position, because one thing I've seen is me, for example, I'm not really good at dancing. So in my mind, I was like, okay, let me be the guy who makes people dance, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
My DJing,
right.
My venture in DJing, I started off as a reggae and dancehall DJ. I got into the dancehall music, Jamaican, music. That's when I got into it. And as time went by, I fell in love a lot with, deep house music. I started collecting music in 2015. independently, not from other people, downloading music, downloading mixes, listening to different types of house music and everything. And I got into an interest again in music, which is producing music, making beats and stuff. So I started collecting sound samples. I started downloading audio softwares. I started downloading music making, beat making softwares. I started downloading different tools, music making tools like software tools and everything. So up until now, I've been making music, but my projects are not yet released. Yeah.
So they're still in the pipeline.
Yes. But I do have some mixes. And some tracks that I have actually made on SoundCloud.
Okay, that's so exciting. So what's your DJ name?
Okay, it's so obvious. It's the Mad Scientist. That's my stage name.
Okay, I see how that works. Yeah, because I was like, could it be, or I was thinking something as the chemist or something, I don't know, okay. But I like how you linked those two things together.
There's already a guy named the chemist. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, it's fine. We'll stick. We like the mad scientist too. And speaking of your science, right? Here you are now blending the two. You're producing, you're DJing, and the science. But before all of that, I think it's important for us to understand, how do you get into the sciences? Is it something that you always wanted to do, or was it something that just kind of happened and you're like, oh, I'm here?
Okay. Well, the thing is, back in primary school, like I was really good in natural sciences, right? And natural sciences, geography and history, social sciences related subjects. I was actually good at that. Even maths, I was actually good in maths too, because I remember in 2003, I won the district numeracy challenge. And when I was writing that paper, I was actually very sick. I was sick and fatigued, and I was like 8 years old. And it was after I lost my dad. And yeah, when I was writing that, I was really sick, wrote the paper, and scored the highest. So I didn't at that tender age, or that age, I was not really aware that there was a scientist in me and stuff. So when I got to high school, I think when I was in grade 9, I was also good in natural sciences, but I was just in high school. I didn't know what was happening. It was when it happened after, when I got into grade 10, 11, 12, and after high school, I was clueless on which path to take or what to do. So there were horrifying stories about maths and science. That, okay, maths and science was hard, you see. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I have to do the history. The history is easy, so let me go and do the histories. So there was this test that we write annually. I think it's called ANA for grade 9s. So that test, it's the one that determines which stream of subjects you're gonna take when you proceed to grade 10. So we wrote the test, and there I was placed in maths and science. Right. Okay, I was there. And I did really bad in grade 10. I failed physical science. I was really bad, and maths, I got an average mark. It was terrible, And this is what I did. The fact that I was being placed in that stream of subjects or allocated to that, I thought, man, it's not something that was done, mistakenly. I'm actually really, really good at this. It's just that how I study and the amount of time that I spend, it's not really, like much of it's not invested in my studies. So that year, which was 2011, there was a friend of mine who was doing grade 11 and he was really, really good in maths and physical science. So I spent the whole festive season and what I did was I spent the whole festive season with him, going to his place, doing maths every day, doing maths and physics every day, doing maths and physics every day. And when I went to grade 11, I became one of the best students in maths and science. And the confidence came that, okay,
wow,
I'm really getting good marks now, right? Grade 12, same thing, So in physical sciences, which is my favorite subject, I was really, really good in chemistry. Though I did love physics, but I was really good in chemistry. The chemistry part of it, that's where I actually, my A's would actually come from the chemistry part, So that was the motivation behind me choosing chemistry. But I wanted to do chemical engineering at grades. So I was not accepted that following year. After matric, I was not accepted at grades. So I took a gap year. And 2014, I took a gap year. In 2015, I started my first year at my first university. So that's where I started to do computer science and mathematics, which I didn't really like, but I enjoyed mathematics more than, programming. And I pushed into second year and then dropped it. 2017, took a gap year. And then during that year, which is 2017, there was a lot of reflection to do. There was a lot of introspection. I needed this, And while I was there thinking, looking at my life and looking at my past and my present and, forthcoming future, I was like, you know what? Chemistry, maybe it's something that was destined for me to do, because I read a lot more on cosmology and I read a lot more on the works of Stephen Hawking, Roger Penrose, all these physicists, and I read a lot of their work and everything. And one thing that I picked from that is that, the universe actually determines what we become. When to die, when to get married, when to finish your studies, what you're going to become. So it's already predetermined. So basically, I'm like, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to do, then let me do it. See? So that's how it came about that I became, a chemist. Because I've always loved chemistry. So looking at my past and how good I was in chemistry, I'm like, okay, basically this is how I am. And at most, because I have a friend of mine who's doing engineering, it's more technical, and whenever we're having conversations, I'd be abstract. I'd be talking about these abstract concepts. And the guy would like, why don't you go and do science, And based on how others, view me and how I view myself, immediately when I actually found the correlation between the two, that's when, I decided to make this decision of actually becoming a chemist. That's basically it. But knowing that, I was going to be a scientist, I never really knew that I'd be here today and be doing science and everything. It's just something that I realize as I grow and as I, experience, the harshness of life. But I knew as I grow. So, and after going through what I went through, I'm like, science is what I can't do anything else besides science. Though I do have other things that I I'm actually good at, but something at which I can apply my crystallized intelligence on is science. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, what a story and what a journey. I appreciate how you've been so open and honest about the fact that it wasn't very straight. It had a lot of twists and turns. And I think sometimes when people see somebody at a particular stage, be it you in your final year, they assume that everything was smooth sailing, and it's not. And I think those twists and turns, those failures, those great 10 moments where you didn't do well, or when you didn't get accepted into the university that you wanted to, I think those were obvious lessons that you are able to learn from. And it's really great that you've taken a positive twist and you went back to what you love, because it's very hard. I mean, it's very brave. Not a lot of people would be like, I'm going to quit my degree and start from scratch again, because I want to do what I want to do. So I think that goes to show that there's no point in doing something for the sake of just doing it. It's better when you do something that you love.
And when you make such decisions in your life, right, you're gonna get a lot of negative feedback from a lot of people that are actually around you, friends, family, and stuff. Because I went through a lot, I went through a lot of. There was a lot, being called a failure, being called a lot of these things. But I stepped up. I'm like, you know what? I choose me. I choose myself, and I choose my destiny. As people, we choose our own destiny. Because one thing I know is that in life, you grow older, your parents won't be there, your friends won't be there. You outgrow your friends, you meet new people, you meet new friends, you make new friends. Because I've had friends in primary, they're not here anymore. I've made friends in high school, I've made friends in varsity, they're still not here. So I've met new people, I've met new friends. So at most, we have to prioritize on growth. Growth, it's essential. That's what makes us as people. And what is the driving mechanism behind growth is experience, whether good or bad experience. Yeah. That's the mechanism behind growth. Yeah, experience.
Definitely. You've summed it up so nicely, and I love that. So you, like you said, you are in your final year, and you're doing chemistry, specifically chemical technology. Chemistry and chemical technology. Now, for somebody who has no idea we have like a little brief idea, but we don't know exactly. Can you just give us an overview in terms of what you do, what your whole degree involves, and why you love what you do so much?
Okay. Chemistry is basically the study of matter from molecular and atomic perspective. So what happens is that everything that you find in our surroundings, which is matter, every material, everything, anything that you can imagine, it's actually made through studies. Like, when you actually create a material, before it's made, there are studies, molecular, atomic studies that involve the examination of it. For example, if you look at the type of food we have, right? The different flavorings, the different preservatives, those are mostly synthesized compounds. You know what I mean? So how did we know that this particular compound, if you add it on this, it will actually give you this scent of smell? Or if you add this compound, it will preserve the quality of this food for a particular period. How do we know that? It's through chemistry. The chemical properties of everything. Like if you look at the fuel, for example, cars, that has been synthesized, in large batches. But before, that is synthesized or that is considered to be applicable of use, we study the chemical properties of the compounds that you find there that give it that particular property, which is it can be combusted, you can burn fuel. How? Because the compounds that are contained there that are actually enabling it to have that particular property. See, so chemistry is broad. It's applicable in different things.
No, I understand. It's so basically, essentially, rather, it's very, very broad. It's not just one thing like where we assume it's just people in the lab. It involves a whole lot of things in our day-to-day life, basically, as well.
When I checked, most of the research focus in chemistry, especially in postgrad, like most of my professors, they work with people from agri and life sciences, like one of my very close mentors and Professor Ackerman has a patent for cancer drug. See, and some of the researchers in chemistry, they're working with people in life sciences, microbiology, agriculture, So most of our focus is mainly on problem solving. So it's interesting, and I would like to solve a lot of problems too.
Okay, that's pretty exciting, and I love how you are excited about this field. So you mentioned that you are in your last year, your final year. So I want to know, what are your future aspirations? What do you want to continue studying further, or do you want to work? So ideally, what would be the perfect plan?
Okay, initially, I wanted to work, go to the industry, but I just realized that, there's more to know, and I want to know more. That's the thing, I want to know more. So the fact that I want to know more, basically, that pushes me to make a decision to be in academia. So I'm planning to do my honors next year and further into masters, and God willingly further into PhD. So I want to work as a researcher. So yeah, basically I want to be in academia and research.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Now, I wish you all of the best in your journey as you come up and in these different levels as into academia and research. I'm sure it will be nothing short of its own stories as well, good and bad. But I think it's essential, and it's great that you have this sort of idea of where you want to see yourself. You've got the goal, and I think that can help you during the bad moments to kind of persevere through. So, which is really, really exciting. And then one day we'll be calling you Dr. DJ, the mad scientist, or something. I don't know. Obviously, we'll find a name that works.
Yeah. This music part of me is just for relaxation and stuff. Sometimes it's really good to relax. So it actually helps. So I mostly exploit it for my relaxation. Yeah.
No, I support that. I feel like you shouldn't feel bad that you have a whole side of you. I think it's very important for us to have I think that is not necessarily related to the science that we do. You are more than just a scientist, and you doing all of this stuff shows people that you can be more. You can be more. You're not limited. And
Exactly.
yeah, and just to expand further on that, you mentioned earlier that you are also a men's rights activist. So again, here you are. You're more than just a scientist. So just touching on that briefly, I want to know what sort of work do you do when you in this type of work, and how did you get involved in it?
Actually interact a lot with my fellow man, my mates, like daily. The sole purpose of being a men's rights activist was to actually look at my surroundings, especially back at home. A lot of people who are most likely to drop out of school, it's men, it's boys. The most people affected by the drug epidemic, it's boys, and nobody cares. Nobody speaks to them, nobody reaches out to them. The most people that I know, I've actually lost 2 friends, from suicide. You know what I mean? 2 friends. One was both of them were great fathers. They had kids. They were great fathers to their kids. And one of them had just graduated with his honors degree in information technology, and he was working. And he has a son, and basically all of that was like, okay, nobody speaks to men. Nobody speaks to men. You know what I mean? What I do more than speaking for men, but speaking to men, encouraging men to be better, encouraging men to, focus on themselves, focus on their goals, so that they could become great and better community leaders. Because if you can check society today, society is a mess. Because why? Because men are not men anymore. Men have regressed in so many ways. So encouraging men to be in touch with the positive masculinity, it's something that will actually save society and, allow men to lead. When men lead, when men are much more focused on their purposes, things like femicide, things like, violence, GBV, all of those things will be eliminated. Essentially, when we save men, we basically save women and children. We basically save society. So the reason why everything is in shambles is because men are not men anymore. So that's what I actually speak for. That's what I advocate for: positive masculinity, men to become great. Because when men become great, because that's the type of men that women want to be with, are great men. Men of value, men of high value. So the reason why there's like a lot of tension between the two sexes, men and women, is because all of them, men are no longer positively masculine. So encouraging men to be in touch with that, basically women are getting the type of men they aspire to be with. Yeah. That's basically, yeah.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And I think it's such important work because, dare I say that sometimes men do feel neglected by society, and as a result, a lot of negative things happen. So it's really good that you are seeing that and you're like, you know what, I'm going to take charge and help my fellow men. And it's very inspiring. I really commend you on that work, and it's so important. It's so important to affirm young Black men as well, because sometimes they do feel very forgotten, and a lot of negative things happen.
Yeah, a lot of young Black men, especially where I come from, being involved in it's like a lot of violence going on. There's like a lot of gang violence and everything that's actually taking place there. It's mostly boys that are involved. It's mostly boys who die. You know what I mean? So if one boy from a family or a son dies, one family has already lost a leader. Because that person, because I know a lot of my friends and a lot of my former high school mates, that today are no more because of drug abuse, because of HIV, that's involved, because most of them are hooked on Nyalpe, and Nyalpe, there's like this way at which they actually use a blood transfusion, so there's like a lot of infection amongst themselves and everything. So a lot of some of them have died, from AIDS. Some of them have died from overdose and everything. So a lot of these guys, I knew them personally, and a lot of these guys were aspiring to become great. They hate me. Some of them still have dreams, and some of them, when they see me, they will tell me and come and go, hey, you inspire me and everything. I'm hooked on this. I don't know how to get out, and it pains me the fact that at that moment, I'm in a position where I don't have means and power to actually try and to actually change this person's life. I can say, positive things to this person, but immediately when I walk away and he walks the other way, he's going back to his reality. I'm going back to my reality. You know what I mean? So I feel bad for the fact that there was nothing tangible or something practical that I would have done to actually get this person out of, this the situation that they're in. So one thing I aspire to be is to be great, and not just be great. My greatness has to impact those that actually surrounding me. My greatness or my achievements have to empower those who are from my community. So yeah, I'm basically like being here educated, and I'm basically a representative of my community to a certain extent. So that has been the drive and the push, Yeah, not just becoming great for me, but for my people too. I'm saying that has been the drive behind, me pushing, because my greatness is not just, like my achievements won't actually be about me, but they would actually be, a representation of where I come from. My achievement is an achievement for my people, my community at large. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I got goosebumps. That's so inspiring, and I love how you are so passionate. I can actually hear it in your voice, and it's so sad. It's really, really sad, but I really love how positive that you are, that your story will be, can motivate somebody, and you being where you are is not only just for you. And oh man, what a powerful way to end off this whole entire thing. Like I'm so thankful for our conversation. Thank you so much for coming on, and for being so open, and for being so honest, and sharing about your journey and all of the things that you're so passionate about. And I honestly wish you all of the best, not only in your academic career, but also in this, that maybe you'll find the support, because I know you said that it was very difficult for you to just to give somebody words of affirmation. I don't know, be it the financial support or some backing with other people where you can do something a little bit more tangible in this work. And I honestly believe you're going to do so many amazing things. So thank you for coming on once again.
Thank you so much for giving me a platform to share, my experiences, thoughts, perspectives, aspirations and everything. Thank you so much for this. I'm grateful.
Perfect. It was a great pleasure. And for everybody else who's listening, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. Until next time, goodbye.